Hello, I'm Mike Benoit, and today I'm going to talk about income taxes. I'm going to talk about taxes in general, actually. Everybody's favorite subject, and everybody's biggest misunderstood subject. Some people think that taxes come out of the government. All taxes originate out of society. So even if you're working for the government and you think you're paying taxes, you're really paying taxes from taxes. So that's something that is pretty unclear to most people. It's the private sector that existed prior to government. Government was created as a tool for the private sector, and the cost to pay for it came about through taxes. Taxes is a forced extraction of money, property, from people to pay for government. And I won't use the term services because I certainly don't consider most of the time government much of a service. I consider it more of a tyranny. Now I hear people talk about, oh, let's tax the rich some more. And I hear people that claim that rich are already being taxed too much. So let's take a look at that argument. My argument is, no, we should tax the rich less so that you and I pay less in taxes. Now, for example, if we didn't have any income taxes whatsoever, and it's a novel idea, but that used to be the way it was prior to 1913. Now, some folks think, well, let's get the rich to pay their fair share. They're rich, after all, and they can afford to pay taxes to help the unfortunate, to pay for this government program or that government program. So, Mr. Henry Ford or Mr. DuPont or Mr. Rockefeller back there at the turn of the century, 1913, thereabouts, they said, well, you're going to tax me? Okay, no, I don't care. And so Henry Ford says, you know, that Ford that you've been buying from me at $455, you're taxing me, so I figured out how many Fords I sell every year. So now I'm going to add $30 per Ford to pay for this tax bill that you just laid on me. So, who paid for those taxes? Henry Ford or the people that bought the car? And you know what? The car got less affordable to other people. People even working for Ford. Ford set their wages up so they'd be able to afford the product that they were making. Well, now the product got a little more expensive. So you can go off into some side tangents if you want, and you have to start borrowing money to buy these things. But we won't go there right now. So every tax that you put on any person, no matter where you put it, if at all possible, is going to be passed on down the line. Think for a second. Maybe you're making $1,000 a week. Well, and then they're taking $300 out in taxes, so you think, well, I'm paying $300. But maybe you're not. Maybe you're not paying any taxes right there. Maybe your $700 is what you would have earned if there weren't any taxes in place. Maybe because you have to pay taxes, you're kind of the same thing that Henry Ford's did, or the DuPonts did, or the Rockefellers did. They add on to the cost of their product. Maybe the cost of your product, your labor, just added on an extra charge there to pay for the taxes that government was going to take from you. So who's paying that bill? Your company that you work for? No. The company that, people that buy the product? Yes. So that's where you're paying the bill. You're paying the bill there at the cash register. That's where you're paying the taxes. Okay. So then, oh yeah, by the way, this morning, Mr. Kucinich was on C-SPAN and talking about how we all ought to have free health care and we all ought to have free schooling. free education, and then talking about at the same time how we're losing our jobs to overseas manufacturers. Well, I mean, the cost of government gets so high that you can't afford to consume the products that are made in America because, quite frankly, they're taking too much out of your check. Then what's the alternative? You have to get your product somewhere else.